everybody. Good evening. Nigel, did you manage to share it? Because if not, it looks like I can do it tonight.
I'm just trying now.
Right, I've done it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've done it for you. No problem. Hi, everybody. Good evening and welcome to the PF podcast tonight. Well, we've got loads and loads, so we're going to crack through rather quickly. Got a lot of videos to show you and quite a bit to talk about. Let's have a look at who we got on the panel. Coming back for about the third time now, I think, is Mick Garton from Colton Town, the chairman of Colton Town. Mick, it's wonderful to have you back again, mate. And how you doing? And we will talk about Colton Town a little bit later. But how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. Thank you. It's good to be back on board with you, and I've enjoyed it in the past, and I'm looking forward to tonight's show.
Yeah, no, it's a real good pleasure to have you back on, Darren. How are you been? And I know you had a busy day yesterday.
I didn't hear a word of that, Gaz.
No, I don't know what happened there.
Playback or feedback.
Yeah, something dodgy happened there. How you been? I know you had a busy day yesterday, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as well.
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I was just saying to you guys off camera, I feel a little bit knackered because I was up till 2:30 this morning editing the vlog that you're going to talk about later. But apart from that, mate, and obviously the England performance has set me to sleep. Apart from that, mate, I'm all
We'll
good.
be talking about that next. Nigel, how you been? And have you had a good week?
Yeah, I had a good week, busy weekend. But I'm a bit like Darren. You know, for some reason, I missed the football. Not the international football. I missed the Football League and the Premiership this weekend. I wasn't even interested in the England matches. So I'll be glad when we get back to normal next week.
Right, okay. Look, we're going to crack straight into it. So, folks, as always, please share, please like, please subscribe, whichever platform you are viewing us on. What we got lined up tonight. So we're going to talk about England next. Let's get that one out of the way. Then we're going to talk about the FA Cup, fourth qualifying rounds. Then we're going to have a little chat about what's going on. Is the Premier League imploding with all the legal wrangling that's going on currently? So we will talk about that as well. We've got some funny clips. We've got lots of videos and lots of pictures. We've got a really good show ahead. So we're going to crack straight on. England. Well, let's just get tonight's game out of the way. Like you say, it was hard to stay awake. A couple of good goals. I've got to give them that. The Finland goal, dreadful defending, which takes me back to the dreadful defending we see on Wednesday night against Greece as well. It is what it is. Let's just touch on the performance tonight and any views you had on the Greece game on Wednesday. Nigel, we'll start with you.
Yeah, well, yeah. It was like watching the Southgate side play again today, wasn't it? I think the result was right. We should be beating teams like Finland 3-1 with the players we got at our disposal. But absolute diabolical against Greece. So, get a bit of feedback.
Getting a bit of feedback there, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a poor performance against Greece, and I don't see any way Carsley's going to bring anything different to the England setup. Again, you know, we've got Foden on the bench. This guy's just got Player of the Season, the Premier League, and we can't find a way to get the best out of him. So we need to get. I've said it all before. We need Klopp, Guardiola, Arteta, teams that play at a faster tempo to get the best out of these players that we've got. We're just playing in second gear at the moment.
Before we move on to the other two panelists, should we call you panelists? In all fairness, Mr. Carsley has made it quite clear he hasn't applied for the job. I think he's not looking to take the job on full time. So Lee Carsley is a temporary solution.
I can't understand the tactics he played against Greece. We seem to play with two midfielders and another two midfielders in front of them, and then he's got.
I don't want to knock the fella because I think he's been thrown into a position.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you got the lad from Chelsea, what's his name? The forward from Chelsea that's playing. They played in midfield.
Palmer.
That's it. Yeah. So he's got 4 midfield players. He's got 2 at the front and 2 midfield players behind him, and he's got Cole Palmer in the 2 behind the 2 attacking midfielders. And yet the guy's scoring goals for front for Chelsea. What was he thinking there?
I don't know. I mean, like I say, he's been dropped in the job. I think the job's way above his head.
Yeah, but listen, you could drop anybody into that job, and they could have put out a better side than that.
Yeah.
Sorry, there'll be people.
I mean, he ain't going to be there, is he? You know, we'll talk about who's probably the front runner shortly, but let's get mixed views on the England performances this week.
If he'd have won all 3 games, he'd have been pushing for that job. So don't say he didn't want it in the first place, because if he didn't want it in the first place, he should have said that in the first place.
Nigel, all I'm saying is he's come out and said he's not applied for the job, and he's
no. But when they offered him the caretaker's job, he had a choice of saying yes or no. If he said no, I don't feel I'm up for it.
Yeah,
but he took it on, Gaz. So there's no excuses.
No, fair enough. But he ain't going to be there, is he? So
doesn't matter. He took the job. He took the 3. He took the 3 matches on. That was his decision. And if they'd have won 3 matches well, I bet you he would have taken the job.
I'm not knocking his performance as what he's done. I'm just saying that he ain't going to be there very long, is he? So, you know, no point.
But if he won the 3 games, if he won the 3 games well, Gaz,
would he
turn the job down?
Well, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is, Nigel, is that he isn't going to be there very long. It's full stop. He's going to be gone, isn't he? He's irrelevant. He is irrelevant, really. I know the performances have been bad, but he's not going to be there. You're right about everything you said.
He's up there for criticism, just like anybody else is.
No, fair enough.
When a footballer goes onto that pitch, when they go onto that pitch as a footballer, whether you're a first-team regular or you're reserve just getting your first game, if you have a crap game, the fans have got every right to criticise you. They ain't going to go, it's his first game.
Absolutely. My point of view is just that, well, he ain't really going to be there much longer, and you dig him out all day long. But you're right, he should be. It was appalling. I mean, his setup and everything was so poor. You're not wrong, but he ain't going to be there, is he? I very much doubt he'll be there for the next set of games. I guess in a lot of ways we hope he isn't, because he definitely didn't perform. But look, let's get the opinions of Mick and Darren. So Mick, what's your opinion on the performances this week? As poor as they've been.
I think everything that needs to be said about the midweek game has been said, really. So I'd probably only be adding fuel to the fire. I thought tonight was pretty much back to how it was under Gareth. I thought they got the job done. Wasn't particularly inspiring. I thought we looked a little bit better when the substitutes came on. There was seemed to be a little bit more width and pace. I thought I was put on a personal note. I was glad to see Grealish back in the team, because I felt the game before the Euro started. He had one of his best games for England, and I was staggered when he got dropped. I know people can argue he didn't have his best season for City, but I think he brings something different. There's an argument there that he'll gain you free kicks outside the box, and that gives you an opportunity. I know it wasn't him that got the free kick tonight, but certainly we got the free kick outside the box and got a goal from it. So on a personal note, I was glad to see him back in it. We still look vulnerable at the back in terms of the number of chances. I mean, they should have scored a goal in the first half. The guy missed an absolute sitter. But it was a case, really, of I felt tonight that it was like pretty much it was under Gareth. We got the job done, and we did that a lot under Gareth. It was only when we came up against the really, really good sides or got into the finals that we sort of slipped up. And, yeah, they've got to try and find somebody that can just take them on to the next level. And what the answer to that is, I don't know. My personal choice would be Eddie Howe, but I think that the FA have said that they're not prepared to pay the compensation that Newcastle would want. So, you know, I don't think the caretaker will get the job. I think he's took a lot of criticism this week. I feel a little bit for him, but he gambled the other night and he did get it badly wrong, and he looked like a rabbit in the headlights at the press conference.
Way over his head. I think he's way over.
That's my take on it. So, at the end of the day, I think we're probably back to where we were when Gareth stepped down.
Which is what Nigel's opening statement was. Was back to as it was under Southgate, same old. So yeah, I mean, clearly that's coming through from both of you there. Aaron, just give me your view, if you would.
Yeah, I echo the thoughts of what the guy's saying about it's like watching a Southgate performance tonight. Watched 70 minutes. I couldn't watch anymore. I was bored, shitless, excuse my French, but I was. Switched it off. I'm no interest in watching England playing this type of football. Going back to Thursday, I'm in the minority. I don't blame Carsley so much for having an experiment because, Christ almighty, what I saw tonight is not what I want to see because the boredom factor. But, Thursday, he had a go. He put all the names, in the team that a lot of people wanted. It might have been a bit of a mishmash, and like Callie was saying, he's put Cole Palmer as a deep line midfielder as opposed to up front. But we got all the names that we wanted, and again, that was a bit of a shit show. But I'm glad he experimented. I don't think it's the end of the world that we lost to Greece by any means. He'd also mentioned the fact that he'd only had about 20 minutes to prepare the team at training, and then they went into the match. To be honest with you, I would like him to have done the same tonight, so we would have known for sure. One game is not enough to judge a formation on any team. Do you know what I mean? I'd like to have seen him giving it another go tonight. And the players also got to take a bit of accountability. These are professional footballers. They get paid good money, make good decisions. And when the Greeks are cutting us open, someone must have said, have a word, come on, drop in a little bit. We're under the cosh a bit here. But no, we was open all night, wasn't we? The players are kind of getting away with murder while we're slagging off the managers.
No, absolutely. I think, right, just going to quickly, for the three of you, Mick, you raised about Jack Grealish. Now, Jack Grealish has played two of the three. Is it two of the three? Played against Ireland, didn't he? And he didn't play against Greece. He played tonight. I thought in both games he looked good. I know this is going back a bit, but he's come out quite openly this week, very critical of not being taken to the Euros. Felt he should have been. Would you agree with that statement? I personally think he should have gone myself because he gives something different, like Mick said. Did Southgate get that wrong? And is Jack Grealish?
Yeah, it's like Grealish gives us a different option. All right, he's a different player from the other players. He gets your fouls, and he's good on the ball. So that's what you need to have when you take your squad. You've got to have a squad of players with different options and different, things that we can do for the team. And I certainly think that not taking Grealish was a bad decision. Whether he was 100% fit, 80% fit, he still gives you a good option on there.
Mick, I'm guessing you've already answered that question anyway about Grealish. And Darren, what would you say on that?
No, I wouldn't have taken Grealish. Definitely not. He's had a terrible season in Manchester City, and one good game against Belarus doesn't, in my book, merit an inclusion in a European Championship squad. Now, hindsight has told us that we were pony in the championships, but you've got to remember a decision at the time had to be made, and there was equal clamour about Rashford potentially still going, right? Just because he had one or two decent games for Man U. I'm glad Southgate left Rashford out. I was glad that he left Grealish out at the time.
Okay, well, I personally think that Grealish could have offered us something.
With the size of the squad that he had, the size of the squad that he could take over, I think he was an option that, okay, maybe you weren't going to play him from the start, but you needed that option on the bench. That's when you go to tactic 2. We didn't have a plan B. All right, so although I understand what you're saying, Darren, and I agree with you there, but
when
you can take a squad as big as they could take, it was worth sticking him in.
Do you know what? It's really good tonight, guys, because it's boring if we don't all if we all agree with each other, then it's boring. So let's keep this going, guys. It's been a really good start. But no, Darren, yeah, it's good. It's good. I'm just going to give you my view on something. I mentioned it to Darren anyway. And this really more around the Wednesday night. I think as a nation we have become so arrogant that we dish things like this Nations League, we dish the European Conference League, mainly the media, the pundits, everyone. You listen to TalkSport, mate. It's like proper dish everything because it isn't top six football and all this, and and I've got to be really, really honest in that. I just on Wednesday night, what I felt I see was a side that were playing a friendly and a side that were playing because they were in a competitive game of football, and I thought Greece won it off the back of that, and it just for me, I really do. It's like, I think there's an arrogance in this country amongst probably pundits, media, maybe a little bit with the fans, certainly with players. There are 90 clubs in the league structure without non-league that would fans would rip the hand off anybody to get into the European Conference League. Yeah, it's dished. You listen to TalkSport and everything. This national Nations League, we dish it as nothing. It's just a friendly, you know.
Gary, can I just come in there because I just want to just say something on what you're saying. I'm obviously, apart from being chairman of Carlton, I'm a big Nottingham Forest fan. There was an interview done with Brian Clough many, many years ago, and I heard the interview, and he was asked, what was the most important trophy you ever won, the League Championship or the European Cup? And he said, and his answer was, and he later said the League Championship had been the one because it was over 42 games.
Yeah.
But he said at that time, the most important competition that Nottingham Forest had won was the Anglo-Scottish Cup. And the guy said to him, the interviewer said to him, why did you answer that, Brian? He said, because it taught us how to win a trophy. And then we went on from there. And then they won the League Cup. And there is a philosophy that actually it wouldn't be a bad start for England to actually go on and try and win this and win something, even if it is this, what a lot of people are calling a tin pot competition.
Yeah.
I think it, win something,
Yeah. I mean, like I say, I just really do think, and that arrogance is born out of the personally pundits, commentators, the media, we the fans in some cases maybe as well. Certainly, maybe the elite players, as you want to call them. I just think it's wrong. I think, and that for me was clearly evident on Wednesday night in that. But I'm generalising now that I just see that Wednesday, and I just thought, this is part of that arrogance that we as a country got, because the rest of Europe take them all very seriously.
Absolutely.
I mean, listen to the atmosphere in that ground tonight. It was fantastic, But like I say, if you look at that, the Conference League in Europe, there, like I say, there are 90 clubs each season whose fans would rip your hand off to be part of that competition.
Ask the West Ham fans, mate. Ask the West Ham fans
exactly
what they won.
Yeah, and when Villa played in it, don't think for 1 minute that they didn't want to win it.
Absolutely.
And I think it's time that we like the rest of Europe take some of these competitions a little bit more seriously. If England,
you're right. Because Mick was just talking about West Ham. What did all the English other supporters do? They took the mickey out of West Ham for celebrating winning a title. Ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It just doesn't seem right to me. When the rest of Europe, the atmosphere in that stadium tonight was electric. And it's great for football in that country that England played there tonight. Had that not been a Nations League competition, what would we have been doing? Playing boring friendlies. We went to enough of them, Darren, me and you. Our boring of friendlies, you know what I mean? There's an edge of competition in it. But anyway, that's my fault. Anyone want to add to that fault? we move on?
I agree pretty much what you said, mate. Yeah, the
Nige,
recipe-
what are your thoughts as an ex-player?
I think like if you go into any tournament, you know, as a player, you want to win medals, you want to win cups. But like I said, because the competition is actually getting played down a bit, it's not as big a tournament as the World Cup and the Euros, and I think you also get pressure from the clubs that the players play for. You know, don't commit yourself to this. Don't come back injured. We need you fit. And so, you know, whether you're getting 100% out of the players, because obviously like City and Arsenal and Man United, they're paying big wages to these players. You know, so if they're putting it into their heads that, you know, it's not important competition, take it easy and stuff like that. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe that is the arrogance you're talking about. You know, we don't need to try that hard to win this game.
Yeah, and I think that is really, I mean, like I say, just listen to Talk Sport on a daily basis. And if you ain't in the top 6, mate, it ain't worth even listening to the bloody thing. But they do dish it, and I'm not just saying Talk Sport, but most of the media outlets, even the commentators, they dish these competitions, and then in turn many others do. But look, let's just catch up with. I've been popping up people's messages. People, please remember you can get involved in these conversations on whichever platform you are viewing on. Drop a comment in, and hopefully we should pick them up. Let me just double check that we are picking up off of X, and then I can say it confidently. Well, it looks like we are. So yeah, so pop your comment in. Want to ask us a question, want us to talk about something, crack on. I've been popping up people's comments on there currently, but let's just say hello to a few of the people that have joined us tonight. So we say hello to our regular man there, Stuart Higgins, from sitting in Ireland, I believe you live, don't you, Stuart? We've got Reece Hughes. Mick, do you know Reece Hughes? You said get in there, Mick.
He was there yesterday.
We're going to talk all about non-league very, very shortly. Damo, good evening to you, sir. Let's have a look. Dave Wittering, that's a message up there quite now. Good evening. Sonia, good evening as well. Like I say, join in, folks. This isn't just about us. This is about all of you, the football community. What I will say before we move on, there is going to be an announcement made at some point this week. A quite important one from us, so keep an eye out for that. It'll be me, Dan, and Greg will come on live, and a bit of an announcement reference a charity that we are going to get behind. But we'll tell you more about that when we do the announcement. Let's just also, gentlemen, not forget it's not been all rosy in the world of football this week. And obviously, we have to mention the loss of George Baldock, played for Sheffield United for several years. This summer, moved to Panathinaikos, played for Greece. He's an Englishman, but his grandma was Greek. He chose to play for Greece, and 31 years old, drowned in a swimming pool. All our thoughts all our thoughts and prayers go to his family. Dreadful situation.
Gaz, I just want to say, George Baldock is from around my area. He's a Buckingham boy. So this community around here has been hit particularly hard. Lots of comments on Facebook and stuff like that. He went to school at the Royal Latin in Buckingham as well. His brother, Sam Baldock's also a professional footballer. You might know him. And his other brother, I can't think of his name, but he's a club doctor at Oxford United. Pretty sad time for the Baldock family.
No, there was one thing, gentlemen, and this might provoke some comments. Bring your comments in. I will put them up about England before we move on. I did forget this one. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about this gentleman, Thomas Tuchel. Would he be your man? Would you want him? Gentlemen, any comments? And then people, let us know. Is he your man? Would you want him to take the reins up for England? Thomas Tuchel. What are your feelings quickly, chaps, and then we'll move on.
I don't think he's shown enough when he was at Chelsea to convince me that he'd be the man to take us forward. You know, they were saying that Guardiola's contract's up soon at City, and he has stated that he's wanting to take over a national side.
Yeah.
He wants to win the Europeans, the Euros, and he wants to win the World Cup. And that's probably the two things that have eluded him in his career.
And he won't manage Spain, will he? Because he's Catalonian.
So you know that if England got Guardiola, that's probably our best chance we got of winning anything. Yeah,
of course. Right, okay, we're going to move on. Unless anyone else got anything to add to that Tuchel situation.
He does seem to fall out wherever he ends up, doesn't he?
Right.
The only comment I'll make is he's got a reasonable track record. To be fair to him, he's won a few things, but it does always seem to end in tears. So I'm not convinced personally. And like I said, my choice would have been Eddie Howe, but that's just a personal thing. I'm sure we've all got our opinions, but yeah, obviously, although I think most people generally would say if we can get the right Englishman in charge, that would be ideal. But
yeah,
I don't think many people would complain if the Manchester City manager was to be put in charge. Do you? I don't think there've been too many people who would.
No. I think he's the fans' favourite, isn't he? Let's be honest. Okay, we're going to move along nicely now. Now, I've started a new spot in the show, which we're going to do now, which I'm going to use this to really focus on the FA Cup fourth qualifying rounds. And then we'll move on and have a little discussion with Mick about Carlton Town, how they're doing this season. And I've got plenty of footage going around there as well. But yeah, so we're going to do our new segment, which is... Gary, what's the score? Well, the score is this week the FA Cup fourth qualifying round. We ain't got much else to talk about outside not much football in the league structure. But the fourth qualifying round, and I tried to emphasise this last week, and I hope by the time we finish this segment, people will realise that us old heads, we adored the FA Cup. We loved the FA Cup, and the more I look into non-league football, the more I get involved in non-league football, I realise just quite how important the FA Cup is still until it reaches the third round. Then it seems to go downhill. But I mean, the involvement, the passion, the joy it brings to the communities. Mick, you'll maybe be able to tell us a bit more, because we're going to talk about one game Darren went to yesterday, which could have been Carlton Town, by the way. But had it all panned out, it could have been Carlton Town in that game yesterday. But we'll touch on that. But look, it was the FA Cup fourth qualifying round. Now, this is probably the biggest round of the cup outside probably the third round where all the big boys join, because this is where the non-league clubs get to go into the first round proper, where they can be drawn against the league clubs. And obviously their aim to get to the third round and draw Man City, I guess. But but no, it was a very interesting day. There was a lot of sellout crowds, which was great. I guess that was helped by it being an international weekend. So the game I'm going to start with is Harborough again. Who were they playing?
They were playing Bury FC.
Bury. Now, that Darren did a vlog there. Now, had that worked out, Darren, remind me how this... Mick, your team lost to Leamington, didn't you, in the cup?
Right, yeah. We to be fair, although we were drawn away, and obviously it was a much bigger club, we actually felt it was an opportunity missed. We have started well this season, but on the day we didn't really love on them. And to be fair, we were disappointed. We could have got something from that game, and we probably let ourselves down a little bit. But yeah, I'm conscious that the next game was Harborough, and I think it was on TV and all that type of thing. So
yeah,
even though we you know, we beat Stanford in the round before that, which was obviously a big scalp from our point.
That was a big scalp, yeah.
They were running high in their league, and they were a step above, and all that type of thing. But yeah, it was an opportunity miss. But I am conscious that we would have got Harborough. I am conscious that Harborough beat them, and I am conscious we would have been on television. So I try not to look too much at the results after that. So I don't know how that game panned out. So no doubt you'll tell.
It will happen. It will happen. Darren, so I've got some clips now. If I'm right in thinking, this was a sellout crowd.
Yeah.
Bury brought 600 down, didn't they?
Yeah. They could have sold a lot more, apparently.
Yeah, all right. Don't rub it in, guys.
So a sellout crowd at Harborough. If you want to catch Darren's vlog, Darren, how do they do that?
Go on YouTube, type in -71, scroll and find it.
That's it. There you go. -DASH 71 on YouTube, and check that out.
Or it's posted on my Twitter, which is also -71.
Now, obviously, Bury, we know the history they've had, bad times. Now, very unfortunate to lose the game due to a very controversial penalty that won the game for Harborough right at the end. And you've managed to do what VAR seems not to do all the time. And you've managed to actually do some footage, and we've got it in slow motion to show that the defender did get the ball. Let's have a look at that.
Got that bit.
Okay, do you want one more look at it to be sure? Let's do that. Yeah, it wasn't a penalty, was it? What do you think, Mick?
Well, I think VAR would have probably given it, because the VAR still get it wrong. No, it was harsh, wasn't it? I mean, at the end of the day,
Nige?
Yeah.
I don't know. Was that Greenish going over there?
Being a Forest fan, I've seen VAR get so many things wrong over the last couple of years, but no, that was harsh, and you'd feel go out to that. To be fair,
yeah, it was harsh, wasn't it? Yeah, but let me just I've got to find it now. Where has it gone? There we go. So this resulted in the penalty. Now, again, just look at the euphoria of, and Nigel, this is something last week's show that me and you did. You said about how you enjoyed playing in whatever Berkhamsted Town. You enjoyed that as much as playing in the heyday of your career. And this just shows how I'm trying to get over in tonight's show, the FA Cup, how it is still special. And I want people to realise that it is special. Maybe not in the top end of the football pyramid, but it certainly is everywhere else. Just see the reaction to the fans and the players. So this is the penalty that was resulting from that challenge we just see. Let's go! Yeah, brilliant. And Nigel, you said last week that days like that, these players remember for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I've never been in the FA Cup with a non-league side, but the journey that you go on. I know when I played, when I gave up football and I played for the Sunday League side, which all my mates were in. We got in this. It's like the equivalent of the FA Cup, but at Sunday League level. So you sort of play the first two games that are within the county of Hertfordshire, and then you go into the big hat. Big draw. We actually got drawn against a team in from Birmingham, and all the lads wanted was an away day. Like, for them it was an away trip, and I'm going, where have we got then? Oh, it was some team in Birmingham. I said, yeah, but where? He said, Erdington. And I'm like, in case you didn't know, Erdington's smack bang in the middle of Villa country. So, like, we've gone to this game and we ended up losing 1-0. This guy, he never stopped abusing me from the first minute to the last. But, you know, it's a travel. I think like the lads like to travel in, they get to play at grounds that they're probably never ever going to play at anymore. The excitement of watching the draw unfold, you know, all of that goes with the competition of the FA Cup is, I would imagine from playing at a lower level, the excitement's even more than it is probably from a pro level. So
yeah. I mean, Mick. I mean, obviously, you know, you and Colton have been in the FA Cup preliminary rounds, and
I could totally relate to what Callie's saying there because last year this is bizarre. We drew, we knocked out Nuneaton Borough last year, which obviously went down as one of the greatest wins in our history. It was an unbelievable afternoon, big club. The stupid thing is, we then drew them in the trophy, and we got knocked out in the trophy. And a few weeks later, they went bankrupt. So they ended up, it was bizarre. But I do remember that particular victory against Nuneaton Borough. And you know, you relate to the fans if you've got that decision, you've won the game. At that moment in time, you're absolutely on top of the world. And but if you've lost that game, especially to a controversial penalty, it's the other end of the spectrum. But yeah, the magic of the FA Cup's still very much there, definitely. And you know, people who say it isn't, you've only got to look at when the top teams. They may play the youngsters early doors, but when they get to the final or the latter stages, you've only got to look who's won the cup over the last few years, and there's still big clubs are still winning the competition. But yeah, definitely, you wait for the draw on Monday, and a lot of anticipation, excitement, and all that type of thing. So yeah, I totally relate to that.
And Darren, I think Harborough that the first time in their history that they would have reached first round of the FA Cup.
Yeah, it was the first time they'd actually reached the fourth qualifying round, let alone the
first
round.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, they've been continually making history. Harborough have only been eligible for the FA Cup for 11 years. So, you know, to get within 11 years to get to the first round proper, it's pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
It's their first season in Step 3. Mick was talking about Colton knocking out Stanford, I think he said. And
what's happened there with Mickey?
Yeah, they're in the same league
as
Mick. Mick was talking about knocking out Stanford, and Stanford are in the same league as Harborough. It was just a wonderful day. At the start of the match, Bury is Step 5, Harborough Step 3, but Bury had started in the extra preliminary round, and they played all their matches away from home against teams in higher divisions, and also they haven't lost any of their 21 matches so far this season.
Yeah, I've seen
what step? Sorry for my ignorance. What step of Bury now?
Step 5.
Right.
Step 5, yeah. And Harborough is obviously Step 3. But it was kind of hard to work out who were the favourites was yesterday. But honestly, I felt the cup fever yesterday, mate. It was magic. I've been one of these doubting Thomases about the FA Cup has lost a bit. And it has to a degree because the top teams don't prioritise it. You know, it's the Champions League now. But, boy, if you want to see some magic in the FA Cup, you know, go in the early rounds. It's absolutely fantastic. Harborough deserved to win on the day, the chances. Bury played really nice football, actually. But, yeah, dubious penalty to say the least. But to give the referee, you know, a bit of lenience, he had one look at it. It took me about 10 looks and zoomed right in before I could see it wasn't a penalty.
Yeah, I agree with that. When you asked me the question, I'd had to look at it sort of closely. It was not a straightforward decision, was it?
No.
Okay, right. Look, time is ticking, so I've got a few more. So one of the things as well, I did mention last week, Biggleswade Town, only been going since 2016. Darren will tell you why that was in a moment. And sorry,
Biggleswade.
What did I
not
say?
Biggleswade Town. Not Biggleswade Town.
Right. Yeah, there's 3 clubs in it. Anyway, it's a Biggleswade. So they formed in 2016. So they drew York City, and this became the biggest game in their history. They played it at the Erie Stadium in Erie. How do you pronounce it? Erie. Down in Bedford. Anyway, Bedford Towns ground. And again, they had a sellout crowd, or the record crowd of 1,100. Okay, they come off the back end of that on 6-0 drubbing from York, but it was the biggest day in their history. And the bars and everything around the town, again, just highlights. Now, here's something special. So what York City have done, and there you go, you can see him handing over this letter. York City have said that they will not take any of the gate receipts, because it being the FA Cup, gate receipts are shared in a different manner to league games, and they have said no, Biggleswade can keep all the money. Well done,
That's
York
fantastic.
owners.
Absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. It's so the FA Cup is.
I love non-league. I love it.
The FA Cup is still going a little bit there. I've got a couple more quickly. Sorry, Nigel. I will bring you in, mate. Let's just quickly rush through so we can move on, though. I've got a couple more I just want to show you. And then you guys can then just tell me whether you had any highlights yourselves. And then we'll move into a little bit more different chat, but we are running quite tight on time. Let me just see where we are. So we've seen the penalty. Right, okay. Cheshire United. So, again, they beat a higher side. I can't remember who they beat now. But it was 1-0. Sorry?
Yeovil.
Of course, it was Yeovil, yeah. Anyway, this was the goal. And again, what I want people to do is look at the crowd and just feel that FA Cup. Big crowd there as well, as you can see, people. The FA Cup is still alive. I've got one more to show you, and this is from Kettering Town, again winning, beating a side above them. Kettering Town step 3, beating Farsley Celtics to step 2, due to the fact that Farsley Celtics pitch, I think I mentioned this last week, has not been laid still. The game had to be played at Guiseley. But here is the winning goal. Again, the beauty of the FA Cup. Fair play to all. I mean, if you look at the away support going off there as well, you know, I mean, Bury bringing 600 down to Harborough. As you can see there, you know, Kettering took a good following up to Guiseley, which is north of Leeds. You know, the magic of the cup exists. They're my highlights. Guys, any games that stand out for you or you'd like to mention? From whether it's
talking about Cheshire, that was where I first learned to DJ. Well, it's a real bizarre story. We got asked at the end of the season to go and present some medals. So there's me, Kenny Jackett, Steve Terry, not sure whether John Barnes was with us. So we all got up there just to present these medals. And it turns out that Kenny Jackett's mate, Rory, was DJing. So he's come over and he said to Ken, "Do you want to have a go at DJing, Ken?" And Ken said, "No, Kelly's our man. He's our music man." He said, "Do you want to have a go, mate?" I went, "Yeah, show me what to do." And that's where it all began.
Yes, you.
Mad seeing that ground again. I was 18 last time I went to that ground.
The Meadow. It probably hasn't changed, Kelly.
Nah.
I was there last Sunday.
Right. Okay. Any games other than the one you were attending on yesterday, Darren, that stood out for you?
No, I was just having a look at all around. Yeah, there's too many to mention, but Brackley Town, just up the road from me, they got a credible 1-1 draw at National League side Hartlepool. They were only 5 minutes away from winning that one, so there'll be a little bit. You know, it'll be a bit of a bittersweet one. Biggleswade actually only lost 3-1 to York. It wasn't 6-0; it was 3-1. So yeah, and they scored quite a good goal actually.
Oh, was it 3-1? Where did I see 6-0? Okay.
Yeah. Just the whole day, was full of highlights and some lowlights. I was listening to Slough Town. They went out to Woking yesterday, and their manager, Scott Davies, great guy actually. I've met him. He was bemoaning a referee decision where he's gone down injured, holding his head, and then Woking broke through and scored. He's a defender, by the way. And then the referee said, "Oh, I didn't think it was a head injury." So Scott Davies is feeling unjust that his team has gone out to that kind of decision. So as much as there's highlights, there's lowlights, like Berry obviously on the end of a sad penalty decision yesterday. But it's all about winners, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, just to let you know, a couple of other upsets in the cup yesterday. You had Guiseley, who obviously lent their ground to Farsley Celtic. They beat Kidderminster Harriers 1-0. So that was a result there, a giant killing result, you could say. Hendersford Town, they drew and they've got a replay now with Gateshead. Maidstone United beating Ebbsfleet 3-0 at home in front of 3,000 fans as well. So that was a big result. Obviously, we've just seen the Cheshire Yeovil. So, yeah, some giant killing went on there. But all in all, a fantastic FA Cup. Okay, we've got some real bad feedback coming from somewhere there. Anyway, Mick, I'm going to highlight a game. You won 3-0 yesterday.
Yeah, it was a good one yesterday. We had a good crowd. We had a good we had a really good day, to be honest. We got one or two. We got down there early. We got Sky in the bar, so we got the Notts County game on against Chesterfield. So we got one or two Notts County fans came in and watched that, and then the managers walked in and they told me potentially our best two players were missing. So there was a bit of a negative vibe, if you like, before the game. But what you're looking for then is for people to step up to the plate, and that's what happened yesterday. Ian Story Morgever, as you know, you've had him on your show, and he was our ambassador, and he gave a lovely talk before the game, and there was loads of banter flying around with the concert fans who were mainly Newcastle fans as well, but couple of Sunderland fans in there, so that were nice. And we had a really good day, good crowd, like I say, and it was a good afternoon, and we've started the season well, to be honest, Gary. So
that result put you in 8th place in the league, hasn't it? So you just built the playoffs. Is that right?
Because we had a couple of wins in the cup as well. We've got a couple of games in hand, so we're in the mix, and we've got the next 3 games, Gary, are going to be really, really tested for us. I think we've got Bradford Park Avenue on Tuesday, who obviously fell down the leagues a little bit. We played them in the FA Cup years ago when they were probably at step 2 or 3. We've got them, they're 5th in the league. We've got the top team from Leeds on Emily from Leeds next Saturday, and then we're at home to Belper, who was 2nd, next Tuesday. So we've literally got 3 teams in the playoffs in the next 8 days. So where we'll be in 8 days' time will be interesting. But
we should keep an eye on that. Yeah, we should. I did have, and I couldn't upload it for some reason. I did have one of your goals, footage of one of your goals, and I've not been able to upload it onto here, so that's a shame. But no, it's good that they're doing well, and Boatsy.
Be nice to get you guys all down at some point. It was brilliant last year when you and Callie came down, and
it was good day,
was brilliant, and you did the whole match day experience, and it'd be lovely to get you all down again sometime this season. That'd be fantastic if you could pull that off for us.
Yeah. I'll try and see if I can drag Darren along, because he's the master of the art.
That's brilliant.
I'd love to go.
Right. No, we get up there. We will get up there, Mick. I promise. Because it'd be great for Darren as well to, because you'll get access to all areas, Darren. It's brilliant. Well, you do anyway, wherever you seem to go, whether they want to give you it or not. Oh, brilliant!
Follow my nose.
What? Yeah, he's brilliant. He's the best one out there. That's my view, and I've probably pissed a few people off now, but there we are. He set the standard in my view. Okay, look. I want to talk about we are going to have to speed up. I've got some clips I want to show you that are quite amusing, and then we will just quickly finish off with a discussion over all the wrangling going on in the Premier League over the last couple of weeks. Is the Premier League imploding? Who knows? But anyway, let's do this. So. In this country, if you've got a flare or a smoke bomb, or they let the colour smoke off, you'll get nicked and probably banged up the way things are going. However, in all the other countries, they seem to encourage it and do it themselves in a big way. Watch this.
That's mad, isn't it?
That's mad. Mad. Right, okay. Now, Callie, you've experienced this at Coventry City when Steve Sherwood banged a goal in from the other end. Here we go. It happening in grassroots football. Have a look at this.
Run!
Don't happen too often, but it does happen, doesn't it, Nige?
Some strike, wasn't it?
Oh, wow.
It didn't
Okay.
bounce to the penalty area, did it?
Yeah. I know. What?
Yeah, amazing.
Oh, dear. Okay, here's this one. Now, could this player with a lot of hair play for England?
There's no way that dog could play for England because he's too fast.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And he
brilliant.
never passed it sideways either. He went forward.
One more I'm going to show you. I just want to check up on the comments that are coming through. Obviously, Clarkey there, Boatsy, giving us a bit of a hello. What else we got? We've got UK Casuals. What's he said there about the FA Cup? Anyway, about it being non-league. I'm just having a bit of trouble scrolling that down. Stuart Higgins wanted to throw in a name for the England job, but we're past that now. But I'll throw it in anyway, Stuart. Jurgen Klinsmann. FA Cup is great for non-league sides. It can also bring some welcome gate receipt money. Yes, absolutely right. I watched second half of Chesterfield v Notts County yesterday. Got to say, fantastic game, good football. Both sides were very entertaining. And that's from Dave Whiting. Whiting, sorry if I've pronounced that wrong. Absolutely right. And they knocked the quality of football. I went to, Mick mentioned Stamford earlier. I went because Kettring's only about 3 miles up the road from me. So I popped along there. They had top of the table clash. Kettering versus Stamford, and I've got to say, I was taken back. Real good quality, real good. Go non-league. But yeah, no, absolutely bang on. And that's about what we got. Any more comments? Get them in because we will be wrapping up shortly. One more I'm going to show you now. Nigel, if this was your manager, or Mick, if this was your manager, or Darren, if this was your manager, how would you feel about the after-match interview he has given?
Defeat today. Could you give your assessment on the game, please?
Yeah, I just hope our players have got plenty of pseudo cream at home because they've had their asses slapped on today. Fair play to Range Park. They were the better side by a mile. Best side we've played this season. Ruthless. I thought the centre forward 20 up top was absolutely magnificent. I wish I had one of him. At the moment, I've got 4 token gestures as a centre forward, so and not even 4 put together can resemble anything to do with him. So, but the only positive come out of that, I had a cracking pasty before the game. That was about it.
It's 4 defeats in a row in all competitions. It's got to turn around quickly, but what specifically have we got to do better?
Not when you concede 13 goals in 4 games, it's not, Jack. We conceded 3 goals with 3 games, and then today 4. And to be honest, it should have been more today. So, to me, it's the basics. They wanted it. The second ball, what they showed, and when they were 3-4 it up, the desire, the press, they still went and hunted because they got standards. All my lot, they ain't got no standards. They don't give a shit. They just turn up and think, here we go, we'll go through the motions today. Today they got found out. And do you know what? Hope it hurt and all. I hope they can't sit down for a week, and I hope they run out of pseudo cream.
If they conceded that many goals in 4 games, maybe they should think about teaching them how to defend. I mean, he's a manager. Come on.
Oh, brilliant stuff. Absolutely superb. Look, if you want some questions, we are running out of time. I know myself and Mick have got early starts tomorrow. Darren looks like he's ready to drop. And Nigel will be on Mixcloud. What time?
Probably about 9ish.
And how do people view that?
Just click on the link on my Facebook page.
There you go. Just look up Nigel Callahan or Callie. Okay. We're going to finish off, gentlemen. So here, sorry, I'll just reiterate again. Any questions you want to drop them in quick. And then I'll tell you all about next week. Got an exciting one next week. Anyway, right. So we did touch, Nigel, on this last week with this ruling with the player Lassana. Darren, say it earlier.
Lassana Diarra.
Lassana Diarra. He's played for a number of British
Arsenal,
clubs.
Portsmouth,
yeah, and a few others. And obviously been out to Russia. Anyway, the ruling of freedom of movement has been adjudged that the FIFA were against his human rights and freedom of movement for someone with just cause, I believe, can pull out their contract. Now, obviously, we don't know what the ramifications will be, but there will be some ramifications. Nigel mentioned last week that, well, you know, rules are rules, but the law coming in means, from what I can gather and what I've found out, there will have to be some changes to the whole setup when it comes to transfers, contracts and the like. However, the law is opened up a bag of worms without a doubt. So we've got that going on. We've also got the Man City situation. Now, Man City are claiming that they've won their court appeal against the Premier League, in which some of the clubs went in support of Man City and some of the clubs went in support of the Premier League. And then we've got this whole 115 things that, you know, coming up now. It's in a bit of a mess, isn't it? The Premier League. Would like to get your thoughts as well. If anyone's got any thoughts on this, is the Premier League in a proper mess, and is there going to be some serious damage done? Because there is the potential this could all blow up in their faces. What are your thoughts, gentlemen? I'll open the floor. Just chat away.
Just from my perspective, I mean, obviously. You saw the situation last year where sort of Forest, Everton had the point deductions, and it's all a bit baffling. The Leicester City thing, I think, started off this season with the fact that Leicester were unable to be punished by the Premier League or the EFL. So straight away, Leicester sort of found a loophole in the rules. You get the impression last week that Manchester City have certainly found a loophole in the rules, although I know the Premiership were claiming victory as well. It is confusing, and like you rightly say, there was several clubs giving evidence against City, and there were several clubs on City's side. So I mean, look, the one thing it does show is that the rules are, to a certain extent, I'm not saying all the rules, but to a certain extent, the rules aren't fit for purpose. If Leicester and Manchester City have already been able to overcome these kind of obstacles, you do wonder how the City thing's going to end. I mean, I think most football fans want it just to be done and dusted, but you do wonder if City are possibly going to win that. I've absolutely got no idea, and I don't know what the rights and wrongs are, but there's certainly issues there, and there seems to be. Sometimes you mentioned TalkSport, but sometimes I think TalkSport are talking more about legalism than the actual football at the moment, because
sorry guys.
All right,
Man.
oh, there we go.
You've got a phone call.
See, this is live. This is live.
Taxi,
And that proves it.
It's like the Wild West, isn't it? The Premier League, it's just like the Wild West, isn't it? And like Nick said, trying to find loopholes, everything like that. It's all about doing anything they can to succeed, because it's all about the money, isn't it? Nothing surprises me what goes on in the Premier League. Mick's right about the rules don't seem fit for purpose, but even if they were, there'd still be loopholes found, so the teams can gain them extra margins, won't they?
Yeah. I think there's obviously going to be changes.
Yep.
There's obviously going to be ramifications to all what's going on. So just watch this space. Watch non-league football. Right, Nige, any thoughts from you?
About the City situation? Well,
yeah.
I said to you before that they'd get away with it. It's like football's a business now. It ain't what it used to be. It's all about money. And City not being in the Premier League costs too much money to Sky. Sky, it's important. They're funding half the Premier League and whatever. So it's just money rules at the moment. And when you got City up there with probably the richest Arab owning the club, and they're going to find lawyers to find loopholes in contracts and stuff like that and rules. So and even if they're guilty, I don't think they'll be found guilty.
No, I think you're right. Let me just sort this out. Right, okay. I think we've gone over now what we were intending to do. So I've got one last thing. This one is for Mick. Mick, obviously, as you've already mentioned, as well as being the chairman of Carlton Town, you're also a big Nottingham Forest supporter. I'd like to get your opinion as a Forest fan. What have I done with it? Oh, no. Oh, yeah, no, I've got it. There we go. So, obviously, this was a tweet that went out. Forest have now been fined £750,000 over this tweet, where they warned the Premier League that the VAR is a Luton fan before the game, but they didn't change him. Our patience has been tested multiple times. Obviously, a very unhappy Nottingham Forest at the time, I think, felt they were getting discriminated against through some of the decisions. What's your thoughts on that, mate?
On a personal level, and this is just a personal opinion, I've got more of an issue with Anthony Taylor as a referee, because last season we played Newcastle, had a Stonewall penalty. He didn't give it. We had the Everton game where you could argue whether all three were penalties. Certainly one or two of them were penalties. And then this season, when Morgan Gibbs-White got sent off in the game at Brighton, the referee said he'd played the ball, and then you saw Anthony Taylor step in as fourth official. So just on a personal basis, it does seem that Anthony Taylor's got an agenda against us, and that the other day when the evidence was sort of concluded, it said that Anthony Taylor had made a passionate statement against Nottingham Forest. So that's just a personal thing. So I don't think he's a particularly good referee. Yes, Forest probably stepped over the line, and I can't, I can't say any other, because at the end of the day, you were questioning people's integrity. I think it came from the number of decisions that Forest, like Wolves, had last season that had gone against them. So yeah, as a Forest fan, you do tend to take the fan side of things, but at the end of the day, I just thought the fine was bloody hell. It's a big fine, isn't it? $750,000.
Yeah.
I thought it was a bit disproportionate, but it's difficult for me because I'm biased. But my issue is just on a personal level. I just don't think Anthony Taylor's particularly supposed to be one of the best referees in the country, and I just don't think he's a particularly good referee. And we do seem to get bad decisions from, I don't know, it's perhaps just a coincidence, but yeah, I'm sure Callie's had referees in the past that he would say he got bad decisions off and all that type of thing, and so yeah, it's just one of them, really.
Yeah, you do get bad referees, but I think it could have all been avoided if it was publicly known that he was a Luton fan. Whoever's appointing the referees to these matches should have avoided that problem. So, he might have made some bad decisions, but people are automatically going to throw that at him that he's a Luton fan.
Yeah. So why put yourself in that position?
Yeah, they could have avoided that by sending him to another match.
That's the point Clattenburg was making, that they normally, if they know that he was obviously the guy looking at the VAR.
Yeah.
But I think Clattenburg obviously lost his job on the back of that as well. But I think the point he was making, that try and avoid this sort of situation, because normally they do. I think if the referees have got an alliance, they tend not to give them those games.
Yeah.
So it could have all been avoided. I'm not saying Forest are totally innocent in this, because at the end of the day, there was obviously a lot of anger from the owner and all that type of thing, which as a fan I can relate to. But I agree totally with what Nigel's just said. So.
Yeah, cool. Right, we're going to call it a day, people. Let's go around the table, starting with Nigel then. Last words from you, my friend.
Yeah, have a good week, everyone. Back to normal next weekend with the football. I look forward to seeing you all next week.
Yep. Darren?
Yeah, just quickly, you're talking about David Whiting, who's come on. A guy I know, and it's quite exciting because he's just built this. He's been building this database for years.
Right, okay,
yeah,
okay.
And it goes back to the start of the English Football League back in 1888, whenever it was, and he's got every result logged, every league table, every head-to-head, and even with league tables, if you wanted to know where your team was on a particular date since the history of the Football League started, he can get it. I went around there. I threw in a few little, like where was QPR the day I was born? Where were they in the table? Up it came. It's just amazing. So Dave, I'm going to try and help Dave get that out there a little bit, because it could really take off for the boy. It could. He's put a lot
and this is something that Dave's developed himself.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
It's amazing. It's amazing. Oh, it's so much more. It's basically the 4 professional divisions. Every league match and every domestic competition. It excludes Europe. It's got all the results, standings, head-to-heads. It doesn't have the goal scorers either. So the only thing it's missing is goal scorers and European results. But he's thinking about doing that. But honestly, I think Mick was talking about the Anglo-Italian Cup earlier. So you've got that. Yeah. It's just,
back in the day.
Put it this way, we had a look at something at Sheffield Wednesday. We looked on their Wikipedia, and it said their most consecutive draws was like 5, but Dave's got 7. So on his thingy, 7. That's their record sequence of draws. So we went on the Sheffield Wednesday season to tally it up with Dave's, and Dave's one was right, and Wikipedia was wrong. So it could be a big game changer for him if he treats it right. But it's fantastic, honestly. I was there for hours.
Well done, Dave, and thank you for coming on and getting involved as well, mate. We appreciate that. We need an information man. That'd be handy, wouldn't it? Dear. Okay, Mick, last words from you, my friend. And
Yep. Thank you, obviously, for inviting me on again. And the only thing I'd like to finish with is like I said earlier, it'd be great. I really appreciate the coverage you give to non-league football, not just Carlton, but I know you go right across the pyramid in terms of the Premiership, England, but non-league can get forgotten to a certain extent. And I think it'd be interesting to talk to the guy that Darren mentioned in terms of what the gates are looking like in non-league at the moment, because our gates are certainly up, and I just get the impression there's more and more people. You mentioned the splits in the Premier League and that. There are more and more people turning to non-league. And
they are.
I think that's a wonderful thing, and long may it continue, because the one thing that you do get, if you come to a non-league game on a Saturday afternoon, I mentioned Ian Storymore there yesterday, and the Concert fans, even though they lost 3-0 yesterday, they were absolutely brilliant. We met a guy who'd been served in the Royal Navy for 30 years. He lived in Portsmouth. He was a fan of Concert, and we've got guys that come down. You mentioned Reese; he comes from Lincoln. We've got fans that come from Leicester, and there's a lot to be said for non-league football, and I do appreciate the coverage you guys give to it. And come down to Carlton soon, please, guys.
No. We 100% will, mate. We think the world of Carlton Town. To be fair, we've had some great times. So no, without a doubt. Non-league football, people. He's mixed right. The gates are up everywhere. The people, and I think a little bit to do with that is maybe modern day football at a higher level. Got that feedback again there. Modern day football at a higher level isn't about the fans anymore, whereas non-league football is still a lot about the fans. There are things wrong in non-league football that need sorting as well. But that's maybe a conversation for another day. We'll continue to do that. Right, okay. Dave's just replied there. Let's just put up what he's done. Thank you, gents. Very good session. And thanks, Darren. Appreciate your support. There you go. Thank you, David. Okay, for me, like I say, we've got a big announcement coming up at some point this week. I've got to check on Dan, whether he's driving a train or what nights he's not driving a train. To do this announcement. We're quite excited about that. Please keep an eye out for that. Next week's show, right, we've got obviously myself and Nigel. I've got Greg Lake, who was part owner of Billericay Town men's side, who's now the owner of Billericay ladies side. And I think you'll find the haves and have-nots in ladies football as well now. So ladies football heading down the wrong road. But he's on, as well as Dougie Brimson. Dougie Brimson is a writer, author, film producer and everything else, and very well known. He's got a big project coming up as well as being a big football fan. So Dougie Brimson is joining us along with Greg Lake. So it should be really interesting one next week, Nige. Look forward to that.
Yeah. Greg Lake, Derby fan.
Yeah. Greg's a good
Greg
mate of
Lake,
yours.
not singing a Christmas song.
No.
And then really, last thing is, I've got to say this, all week they've been banging on about bald-headed men because some fella has been charged with sexism because he called somebody a bald James Hunt being hypothetical. And it is now sexist to have a go at bald people. Now, I love being bald, and I'm sure Mick will agree. One of the funniest things I've heard this week about, and Mick, I hope you agree with this, but it made me chuckle. And I've got to say, if someone wants to take the mick out of a bald person, just go around and say, no, it's a solar panel for a love machine. Up the baldies. Yeah, a solar panel for a love machine. That made me chuckle. Right, okay. From certainly one baldy, I just want to say to everybody, thank you for joining in. Please let your friends know about us if they don't already. Please share our content. Get on our platforms. We work very hard to give you a good variety of information. And yes, non-league football is close to our heart. So be safe, have a lovely week, and we'll see you next Sunday. Although I will see you at some point in the week when we make our announcement. So good night from me and good night from the rest of the team. And as always, I'm not prepared. Here we go. Bye all.